Absolutely. Now, Michael, I have to talk to you about Anthony Albanese and Donald Trump. They have finally met. They took a photo together at the UN. They managed to, of course, get this selfie. But Anthony Albanese is going to have to wait another month before he gets that formal meeting with Donald Trump. How's it going to go?
Well, it could be a draw, or it could be spectacularly bad, depending on the day. But look, Australians, sitting here, we suffered this incredible embarrassment, humiliation yesterday when Albanese had to met Trump finally and took a selfie with him. And I couldn't help but thinking, it's like a young kid, getting a backstage pass at a concert, trying to get a photograph with the artist, the singer, getting a photo and going home to mum and saying, look, I got a photo with the Bay City Rollers. It was a humiliation. And then he had to put it on Instagram to show, look, I have had a meeting with Donald Trump. I mean, you can see how happy Trump was to be in that photo, by the way. But I mean, this is just humiliating for Australia. Look, what we know is this: the American administration know that Albanese partly won his election here this year because he was anti-Trump. They know, the Trump administration know he's a left-wing former student activist. He's pro-Palestine. He's heavily all on renewables. Et cetera. They know that the Australian ambassador, Kevin Rudd, has been a major critic of Trump, calling him a threat to democracy, et cetera. I mean, the American administration know that this Labor government in Australia is very opposed to the American administration and everything they're doing, or nearly everything they're doing. And I think that's why Trump's kept him waiting.
Of course.
Let's just hope for Australia's sake that the meeting isn't cancelled on the morning.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Anything can happen, as we know.
Correct.
Let's also look at what else we saw at the UN. And the daughter of Hollywood stars Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner delivered a speech to the UN about the importance of mask mandates in preventing the spread of COVID-19. I can't believe I'm reading this. Violet Affleck actually lectured the world about how the world is ignoring the ongoing pandemic and claimed that mask mandates were dropped too quickly. Listen to this.
It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for, and we refuse to use it. And I shudder to think of where we will be in another 5 years of unmitigated infection and reinfection.
Michael, should masks be coming back?
I don't think so. I think she needs to get out more. There are many dangers in the world. Airborne diseases is but one of them. There are thousands of ways that people can lose their lives, sadly, during their life, from car accidents, diseases, illness, wars, tragedies, mistakes, accidents. She can obsess about airborne diseases, and that's great. And she can wear a mask for the rest of her life. That's great. But I think she needs to get out more and realise that airborne diseases are probably not the greatest threat to humanity. She should perhaps start with poverty, wars, and diseases, malaria, etc. If she started with those, then people might take her a bit more seriously. But airborne diseases and wearing masks, perhaps not at the top of the list, Gab.
It's hard to take us seriously. I think, or as someone who lived in Melbourne throughout 2020, it's a little bit triggering seeing masks and even hearing the words mask mandates come back. And just this week, Victoria's former Chief Health Officer, Brett Sutton, admitted that many of the insane measures intended to stop the spread of COVID were probably never necessary. And of course, Melbourne residents spent, almost 300 days in lockdown, and Brett Sutton called that period a horror show, and he wouldn't be drawn on what kind of measures he meant that weren't necessary. But of course, we lived through it. I mean, it was absolutely insane. Children's playgrounds were closed. We couldn't go beyond 5 kilometres from our homes. There was a curfew that was never based on health advice. I mean, it's pretty frustrating after being put through so much. So many people had their businesses closed. There's a whole mental health crisis after what we all went through during COVID. To hear now that actually some of the measures weren't necessary at all.
Yeah, and he was one of the principal problems during that period. We had these extreme measures, as you say. I remember playing golf one day. On the limited days you were able to play golf, you had to wear a mask on the golf course. Seriously? Outdoors, surrounded by, fresh air and open space, To play golf, you needed a mask, and you weren't allowed to touch the pin because it might be carrying the COVID virus as well. And we remember, stupid things, as you say, like the playgrounds. I mean, it was so extreme here, and it was not based on medical advice. And that's why Victoria is still suffering. Years later, Victoria is still suffering.
Yeah.
Many small businesses went bankrupt during that period because people weren't allowed to go to cafes, etc. We were allowed out 1 hour a day. We were allowed out 1 hour a day to go for a walk. I mean, the whole thing was an extremist lockdown by the Andrews government here. And Victoria, as I said, is still suffering from this extreme overreaction to the COVID virus.
Just finally, before I let you go, I'm not sure if you're a Harry Potter fan, Michael, but it's been reported that HBO are auditioning for females to play Voldemort in the upcoming rebrands. The highly anticipated series is set to hit streaming service in 2027. It's already started filming, and according to reports, HBO is auditioning for both men and women to play Voldemort. So it is possible that that could be what happens. I mean, what is it with all these woke remakes, Michael? Or what are your thoughts? Are you for this?
No, well, they don't work. I mean, you can't tangle with the greatness of film history. These were great characters, great stories. They live on, and these remakes where they're trying to contemporise them don't work. They destroy the magic of these great theatrical performances. So I think this is ridiculous to do this. These things don't work, by the way. People look at these things with derision and think that's just absurd. So it'll be money down the drain, and thank goodness we're not putting any money into these new productions, Gab.
Michael Kroger, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today.